Through the successful story of this French company, we will see what it takes to reuse and zero waste business model, such as this one, to be both environmentally friendly, healthy, and economically viable in a matter of years. This in turn aims at further improving our shared knowledge as to how to make inroads in our decision makers' agenda with genuine solutions, because that's what matters, doesn't it? This webinar is the first of its kind. We organize it under the We Choose Reuse campaign, which offers us a space where we will talk about solutions of these kinds for reuse systems on a regular basis in the upcoming months to come. Before I turn to our guests, I'd like to say a few words, obviously, about the We Choose Reuse campaign. So this campaign is a European campaign led by the Breakthrough from Plastic movement, for which I hope my colleague will be able to drop a link in case you don't know about it. It was born out of the movement's wish to push for ambitious and robust reuse solutions to the plastic pollution crisis. The campaign calls on both individuals, NGOs, reuse businesses, and municipalities as well to commit to reuse and hold corporations and decision makers accountable for these systems, to put these systems in place. The campaign builds up to a National Refill Day on June the 16th of this year, where we will bring all the outcomes of this great campaign and efforts under the attention of those corporations and decision makers. For your information, today is the official launch of the business part of this campaign, with an ambitious open letter signed by tens and soon hundreds of businesses. And for more info about this initiative and help us spread the word, that would be so kind and helpful, please visit the We Choose Reuse campaign. So www.wechoosereuse.org, www.wechoosereuse.org. In this context, I'm very, very happy to have our guest, Gérard Bellet, on board for this first webinar and to talk about the story of the company he created back in 2014, Jean Bouteille. A brilliant example of business pioneering reuse, and in this case, more precisely, refillable solutions in France, Europe, and perhaps even beyond. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about that. So, Gérard, welcome. How are you feeling today?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm feeling great. As a Monday, with a good weekend behind us and a good week in front of us, but I'm very happy to be invited in this webinar and to be able to talk about Jean Bouteille business model, growth, and future market with people from all around Europe to see how we can replicate that and let people get inspired about what we do so they can do themselves. And so we are together against the single-use items.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gérard. I was about to introduce you and give a few key facts about the personal story of the one who founded Jean Bouteille. But I feel I've already talked too much with this contextualization. So please go ahead, give us a key, like succinctly speaking, if you can just explain who you are and how you got to this idea.
Okay, so my name is Gérard Bellet. I am 36. I have 2 kids and a wife in Lille. So I started Jean Bouteille 7 years ago. The first billing was 7 years ago, and before that, so I was studying in Reims in France. Then I moved to India for 2 years as a management controller for a local factory in a VIE. So it's like a expatriation contract for young people in France. Then after that, with the same company, I moved to US, where I became a salesman. So I went from finance to sales, and then I moved to the headquarters, to the fund, to the, how do you say, the investment fund who bought the company I traveled with for 9 months, and then they fired me because they went kind of bankrupt, and they fired a bit everyone, but I was kind of the first batch 9 months after moving back to Paris. So I took this great opportunity to question myself and say, hey, let's do something that will make sense, that will have an impact for the next 20 years, instead of finding a job that I could have found then. And it was a bit, so it was in 2011, 2012, and it was the beginning of the zero waste movement. It was the beginning of of a lot of people of our age wanted to do things that make sense. It was the creation of Make Sense, by the way. It arrived a bit in the same time, and we all came with the same spirit of let's try to not go where the road tell us to go, but let's try to make our own roads. So I started a company just to sell a few ecological items, and then the Jean Bouteille project came together, and it's a combination of people I was working with. So I was working Gobi Lab, who is a company who is doing some water bottles to go for walk or for camping, etc. I was working with Lemon Tree, who do some return machine for bottles, and so they were doing that for cans and plastic bottles for better recycling. And then I was working with Gallia. Gallia was a beer brewer, so there were this liquid aspect, and finally Jean Bouteille is a bit the mix of all this. The main goal is how do we avoid a bottle ending to a trash? How can we reuse it? And how can we so make people aware and make people be able to consume liquid product without trash? And that's how it started. So I was alone at the beginning, then 2, 3, 4, 10, 20. And so today we are 33. We are in 5 different countries, and we should be in 30 different countries by the end of the year, in 3 different continents. And we are really growing fast. It was like 40% growth last year, and we are heading to a 60% growth this year. Taking in consideration the COVID situation, which is hard to grow fast in this kind of configuration. So we could even grow faster, I guess, if the market was normal, but then it's hard to grow. So we try to slow down a bit sometimes. So that's about
Gerard, if I may, because I think that will make a good transition for actually the participants to really understand what your business model is about. I think it would be good to just play a little video that you sent me.
That's the good one.
Which is a video which is in French with subtitles in English, just for the audience to know about it, what to expect. But yeah, obviously, I mean, it's focusing on an exquisite product I'm very fond of as a Belgian, which is beer, of course. So, but it tells you more about this. So, to my colleague Rosella, if you could play, that would be fantastic. Thank you. And we don't hear the sound yet, so that you know, Rosella.
Et la joie des amateurs de boissons fraîches.
Thank you. And we will restart it.
Depuis la nuit.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rosella.
Depuis la nuit des temps, la bière fait la joie des amateurs de boissons fraîches et houblonnées. Mais dès qu'il s'agit de l'emporter, les bouteilles en verre s'accumulent dans l'indifférence générale. Il fallut attendre 2019 pour voir naître Houblon, l'innovation qui réunit bière fraîche, qualité pression et zéro déchet, les 3 composantes d'une bière légendaire. Son créateur est français, il s'appelle Jean Bouteille. La croisade de Jean Bouteille vers un monde sans déchets démarre en 2014. Lui et sa bande d'incorrigibles optimistes installent alors dans nos magasins des fontaines de vrac. Associée à une bouteille réutilisable et consignée, cette solution permet de consommer des liquides sans produire de déchets. Aujourd'hui, en s'attaquant à chaque petit geste du quotidien, Jean Bouteille s'installe dans toutes les pièces de la maison, et même à l'apéro. Houblon est une fontaine pour distribuer la bière en vrac. Placée en magasin, dans des bars ou chez des cavistes, vous dégustez une bonne bière qualité pression, tout en limitant votre consommation de déchets. Houblon est rapide, intuitif, simple et intelligent. Allez, on le fait ensemble. Commencez par enclencher la bouteille. Fermez les protections et verrouillez. Tirez le levier pour remplir. Ouvrez les protections et récupérez votre bouteille. Voilà, avec ce petit geste simple, économique et écologique, vous venez de sauver le monde. Et ça, c'est pas rien. Un an. Depuis la nuit des temps, la bière fait la joie des amateurs fraîches et houblonnées.
Great.
Et dès qu'il s'agit de l'emporter, les bouteilles en verre s'accumulent dans l'indifférence générale.
Okay, so perhaps we can stop it here then. Rosella, thank you very much. So simple, ecological, and zero waste.
Yep.
Ecological, yes.
we try to make it always simple. We always make it ecological. We try to, because you need to be careful all the time. And in fact, zero waste for the consumer, and more for the shopkeeper too. So here it's a focus on the beer system, because we developed an ingenious beer system to go from the keg to the bottle. So people could bottle their beer from keg everywhere. And we launched that also in a simpler version during the COVID situation, because the bar were closed, so they could sell their stock. And like 10 days ago, a shop sold like 2,500 liters of beer in just one weekend. So they made a big event, and it was just amazing how many people came. But we do that also for oil, wine, vinegar, soap, shampoo, laundry detergent, wash-up liquids, alcohol like whiskey, gin, vodka. Now we are doing mayonnaise, jam, all that stuff, and we are looking at nut pasta like Nutella or all those kind of products. As long as there is a container and it's kind of liquid or semi-liquid, we try to find a solution. So a dispensing solution, a product, and a way to sell it for the shops. So Jean Bouteille is 3 company or 4 company into one. So there is one company who do buy and sells product. So it's like a distributor, like a standard distributor. We go to see producer, we say, we want to sell your product in bulk. What can you offer us? And so they produce for us, so their standard product or sometimes some specific product, and we sell it to our client as a standard distributor. We do produce and design and manufacture our own equipments. So the dispenser, so it can be very simple dispenser. So you just put a bag-in-box on a shelf, so you just have a specific tap or stuff like that. Or you can have very complex dispenser that has automatic filling for some very expensive product, or for products that are very difficult to sell in a standard, easy manner. Here we try to always make it simple. We try to always help the shop use what is available everywhere, which is the gravity, but sometimes it's not enough. So we help the gravity to have a bottle getting filled in like 10 or 20 seconds. We also have a service team that's trained and make sure all the equipment works well. And the fourth job is we accompany, so we help brands, big brands, taking action and being innovative into the zero waste movements. That means we have a huge brand that sell a lot of single-use bottle, and they understand that it's a dead end for them. They need to change. So they ask us to help them, and we have a very inclusive way to do business. That means our competitor is not the producer. Our competitor is not the producer who do waste. The competition is the single-use items. It's the single-use packaging. So we help producers who use a lot of single-use packaging to transform their way they think about the product to make it available in a zero waste movement.
That's good. That's a very good point. Something I wanted to mention is, besides that, and I'll get down to that as a second question perhaps, but when it comes to the unfair competitiveness advantage of single use of our reusables, which is still utterly problematic. And mostly, I think for questions of externalization of cost to our societies, but also for continued financial support from our governments and so on and so forth. But putting that into the context of the launch of this business letter, the We Choose Reuse business letter, this is the World Consumer Rights Day today. And I wanted you to touch a little bit more upon the question of convenience versus cost. And then if you could get to how reuse business models such as yours get cost effective and competitive in the current system.
Convenience is something very important, but I feel people, if they understand what is ecology, they need to be implicated. And you cannot have the same convenience than putting a standard item in a standard trash, or the same convenience than putting a same item that is single use into your cart, than if you want to explain what is ecology in general. So we kind of assume it's less convenient, but it's the way the consumer get ecological satisfaction of their consumption, and it's a way to show them that you cannot have everything for free. And if you want to have a business model where you have less impact, or a consumption where you have a less impact, you need to be implicate into the chain, into the add value chain. And so that means you need to say, okay, I do agree to bring back bottles for the deposit. I do agree to bring back, to go to certain shop to buy this way because they offer me this solution. I do understand it's less convenient, but it's the part that I agree to do. If we try to focus on consumer that want the same convenience than the worst ecological items, then you will not succeed and you miss your target because they will not be interested into your offering. Here we really need to make sure we get the people to be ecologically satisfied, and they do understand what they do, and they do understand the impact of what they do. And so they will take care more of their consumption, because we need to change the mind of the people about the way we consume. But it will not come, it will not go from our sofa with our phone and just say, okay, let's do ecological stuff this way. It doesn't work. You need to be on board. And the good thing with Jean Bouteille is we get everyone on board. So the consumer do his part, the distributor do his part, like the retailer, because they need to sell in a certain way. And so they need to change the purchasing journey and the cash counter journey, etc. The producer need to change his habit too. So all the chain saying, okay, we go together on this zero waste movement. No one can succeed alone. And it's a global problem. So we need to answer it globally with everybody impacted. Saying that, if it's too complex, you only have the pure people who want to make things right and they accept the difficulty. So we need to help people have more shops and more offer, and saying, if I want oil in zero waste, I want maybe 5 different oil. I don't want only one. And I want to be able to give back the bottle when I don't want it anymore. And I want to be able to make sure it's not cost impacting for my consumption, because if I have to buy something that is 20% more expensive, you do it once, twice, but then after you say, well, it's too expensive. So you need to be competitive. So all that need to be taken in account. It's a global equilibrium, I would say.
But part of that competitiveness issue from a reusable perspective is probably linked as well to what you put in those beverage containers as well. So just to echo as well, one of the questions that was asked by Laura Lopresti is, are these products organic? Are they cultivated respecting nature?
Exactly. We do sell only organic products. We don't necessarily work with brands that do only organic products, but consumers who are interested in zero waste movement, they are very coherent and they want to have a global impact. And so they understand that organic food is more ecological in terms of growing things. And so 90% of the people who want zero waste stuff want organic stuff and ecological shampoo and something that take care of the lands, the people who manufacture it, and the body you put cream on it. So it's more to reply to the coherence and to being just everywhere that we do have organic product. And we also love much better working with organic farmers and organic producers, because they do understand more our business and they are ready to take more risk with us, and they are much more innovation oriented regarding ecology than others. But we try to have how do you say, an open-mindedness about factories that don't do ecology. That means when a farmer want to transform his farm into an ecological farm, organic farm, he will do maybe half of his field the first year and the other half later on. And we do congratulate him to do that. So it's a journey for the farmer to become organic too. And so for the big factories, it's a journey to have to sell only organic stuff or only ecological product. So we try to accompany them into this journey and being inclusive.
Okay, yes, so that's a very very good summary of what's happening in there. One thing I wanted to ask is perhaps also about the profitability aspect, because from a business perspective, this is key, obviously,
Yes.
if you want to expand.
Exactly.
And that links also to the question of scalability as well. What are the next steps? How do you get also some financing as well in that respect?
So we are in the trade business. People buy and sell, and to target the end consumer. And so we have a position, and we sell it with some arguments and some product and some marketing, I would say, etc. But at the end of the day, if you want to make impact, you need to scale, you need to grow, and if you want to grow, you better have positive economical impacts. Otherwise, your arguments are shorts if you want to expand quickly and make a real impact. So it was very, very strongly implemented in our business model that we needed to be profitable. So the first year we were pretty easily profitable. This year we were not at all profitable, but we had been slowed. But we have continued to grow, and the importance
by the COVID, right?
Yeah, due to the COVID. So the importance is to take action and to be present on some space and to open doors, and so we needed to burn some cash and some profitability to make sure we could scale and to move forward in our developments. We made a lot of structuration, and we made some big choice that has impact on our profit and loss sheet. But definitely we look at the profitability, and if we look at the part of the company we well manage and we are like recurrent, we are profitable. It's also we do a lot of innovation. Some certain things we don't manage well, and so we lose some money at some parts, but it's part of the innovation.
And a tricky question perhaps, but do you feel that more you grow and more you will have to compromise on things that are key to your values, to your core values?
How can I say? I don't have the choice to not compromise. Because,
and then what sort of compromises do you
I don't have the choice to not compromise. That means we won't do any compromise.
Okay, good.
Because, and the main reason is the team that came to Jean Bouteille. They came, my 32 colleagues, they came for the project, and they came for the idea of what we want to do. And if we make a compromise, they will tell us, I have a problem here. We don't do it right. And what the point to do it this way if it's not ecological performance, etc. When we do compromise, it's more, okay, we want to do this, but it's not the moment. We will do it later on. Sometime we do that. But we go global, we go in various continents, but in the same time we want to go local, but hyper local, and we want to do the same we want to do the two in the same time, because we feel going global, you will go through brands and distributors, so you will be far from your market, and then you will be far from the reality of the consumer needs. And so you will do things that are profitable on the balance sheet, but have a lot of negative externality. And so the best way to not have this is to go hyperlocal. That means today we sell everything in France from one point, because we sell product that makes sense to sell everything from one point. And we want to go in the market where we sell local things that will be sold only locally. That means fresh, ultra fresh food like dairy, etc. A lot of local beer are produced, so we want to sell beer locally, because it doesn't make sense to make travel returnable kegs everywhere in France or in Europe. And
because
so,
distances are key as well in that ecological footprint, and the number of rotations, yes, and so on.
And the complexity. it's not only the ecological point or the or environmental point or the cost. It's also the complexity of it make it inachievable. So let's say today we have succeeded to find a way to accustomate ourselves of the linear economy and to put some loop into the linear economy. Jean Bouteille business model say, okay, linear economy is here and it's how we do business. We want to transform it, but either you do it like loop, so you make a huge transformation right away, but then you need tons of cash and you need huge motors to start, and then it takes you 5-10 years to start the motor because it's so huge that only a few one can do it, and it's very, very difficult. Or you try to create small loop a bit everywhere. And we are more in generating loop in the store. The first loop we create is the household. So the consumer will wash their bottle and fill it themselves. So that's the closest loop. And then we need to be able to have people bring back their bottle and give it back because they don't want it anymore. So today the bottle come back to Lille, which doesn't make sense, but we make a compromise. Today, it's what makes sense. Tomorrow, once we have a lot of washer everywhere, we will change. And so I had a guy from Montpellier yesterday who have a project of a washing bottle plant. And so we definitely say, yeah, all the bottles south of France, we will send it to you. It makes so much sense. And you will deal directly with your local partners. And then we need to create loops that are coherent with what we do. So we send bag-in-box of 10 liter to shops, which are single use, but we have made a scheme to collect it back and to recycle them.
There was a question I had as well. So did you manage to phase out completely plastic from your value chain or not?
No.
What are the remaining parts and how do you deal with this?
And I think we won't phase it out completely because it's today too complex. And so we won't, either I need to wait 5 years to be small during 5 years and make maybe an impact later on, but me, I want to learn from the market all the time. And I want to grow and to learn and to understand what the client needs. So I need to use the tool that are available today. So we use bag-in-box, which is bad system regarding to zero waste movement because it's a complex plastic that doesn't have a recycling scheme all over Europe, etc. So we made a scheme with shops. So we collect back the bags, and so we have a pure filière, a pure source, and so we can recycle it. And we are collecting back the recycled material, and we now are trying to make components for equipment from the bag-in-box that are recycled. So that's the loop we want to make. So we had to create our own loop. Later on, we maybe have reusable.
Excuse me, you're talking about mechanical components. It's nothing about food contact materials.
Yeah, it's mechanical components.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we do equipment to sell in bulk, and some components are in plastic, some components are in metal, some components are in wood, and so maybe I can, not maybe, we will use parts of we will use the recycling bag-in-box to make components. And it's how we create a loop here. And it allows me to send wherever in France and in Europe some olive oil in a very hygienic way, in a very economically performance way to the shops so they can sell it in bulk. If I had a full returnable container, I will be able to do it only very locally. And then that means locally I will have to be present in all the store, but then it will be the same oil sold everywhere here. And trade doesn't work this way. It's a competitive way. Shops want to be unique. And so they not necessarily want to say exactly the same product everywhere, and it doesn't exist. So that's how do you say, that's a strategy we have. But then we need to make sure we are zero waste for the shop, which we were not until last year. And then we need to make sure we are also zero waste at our factory. So we need to make sure we ask our supplier, don't send me this foam, I don't want it, make it differently. How can we have a reusable container with you? Because we use 80% of locals suppliers for the equipment. So we work with them to make zero waste and so on. So we want to be, we want to not make compromise.
Thank you for these clarifications. I think we can take another 5 minutes in conversation between us, and then from time to time, I'm still using some of the questions that are being dropped in the chat, but we will take then another 5-10 minutes and then close when it comes to the questions that are coming from the audience. So just another question when it comes to your business model. So you work with what we call a DRS system, so a deposits return scheme. You fit in there.
It's not a real deposit return scheme. We changed it.
Okay, so can you give some explanation about that? How did you change and adapt that system? And also if you could put that into the context of France and Europe, because quite a few is happening on that front. And I was wondering whether you had some considerations about it, some useful ones to share as well with other businesses.
So we do sell an empty bottle. And what we try to push people to bring back their bottle from the beginning. But most of the time, they don't have anything at the beginning. They didn't know that exists. And they arrive in the store and say, I want to do it. And I want to do it now. So we do sell empty bottles. I don't have a glass bottle here, but let's make it with a small jar. So we made a small Jean Bouteille jar. And so this, imagine it's a bottle. We sell it to the consumer €2. It has some thick screen on it, so it's identifiable. It has a line saying it's 50 centiliter. And they can reuse it anytime they want. Once they don't want it, they can bring it back to the store against €1. That means they lose €1 if they buy it and give it back. It's not a real deposit scheme. Why we do that? Because we want to put the economical impact of washing this container into the container and not into the product, because this container can be used for many products because it's bulk. So the €1 impact allows to have a bit of margin for the shop, a bit of margin for us, and the return scheme. So we pay for the traveling back of this jar and the washing of the jar and the selling back of the jar. So all these costs are implemented into this €1. There is VAT also. There is 20% VAT into this, and that's how it works. Otherwise, if you are in standard deposit scheme, the impact of returnable and cleaning the bottle is inside the product. It's easy because the product is in the bottle, so you know where to impact the cost. But because we dissociate container and liquid, we could not allow the cost effectively.
Okay, thank you. And when you put that into the broader French context, do you have any consideration when it comes to that?
So France today, deposit schemes have mostly disappeared for beer, for juice, and for milk, and for anything. They are trying to bring it back, but it's kind of complex. There is a lot of political risk into it, so no one wants to take the chance or the risk. So we do it this way, and everybody is fine with it, and they just say it's not deposit, and I say, yeah, it's not deposit, and it's fine, I don't care, it's a waste. And that's the most important. Now, more and more companies are coming with washing up solution, and some big retail stores are trying to look into it. So all the movement is growing, and the few experience we have get good attention from the consumer and the media. So it's growing fast and it's good. So we are just one of the many who do return scheme in France.
Another question I wanted to ask you is about, and perhaps a good way as well to finalize, is what are the most important barriers to your expansion that you faced and that you're still facing, and how somehow can we environmental NGOs also help reuse businesses such as yours to develop and thrive in that context?
The biggest barrier is the cash counter journey. So when I call cash counter journey is the way the item is getting purchased in the store when you pay it. It's a journey when you reuse something in a store that is not made for reuse. It's very difficult. So it works very fine in zero waste shop because they are specialized into it, and all their items is this way. That's why I think for the next 5 years, zero waste consumption will mostly be from zero waste shops. And it's great because we help them grow, and they reinvent all the small shops, the small retailer, the small independent retail store, and they're really great and try to help them a lot. But if we want to say, okay, it's everywhere, then we need to find a way to have this this cash counter journey smooth and easy and not complex. The thing is, when we say that, people come with complex solutions. Say, yeah, we will resolve the problem with technology. Technology bring you only, how do you say? We have a bad approach with technology. We sometimes create technology to sell, and so the guy say, oh, yeah, we thought about it, so it will work, but then it's not, doesn't work. So you bring complexity, cost, and ecological impact into the scheme, which need to be simple. So we need to find a simple way to make sure everything is counted properly. And after, it's just some time. We want things to go so fast. And sometimes we have consumer say, I want that everywhere. And so we have also big brands say, I want that everywhere. And they don't let us the time to make things properly and to grow the step we need to grow. Sometimes we want to go too fast, we as Jean Bouteille, and sometimes also the consumer want everything like perfect right away, which doesn't work. Like, for example, we work today with the big brands that send us in 25 countries. They say, okay, it will take us 1 year and a half, and we work 1 year and a half to make it happen. And that's great, because then, you know, they are not, yeah, I want this in 3 months. And so you just rush and you do things badly, and then you have bad impacts and everybody is frustrated. So we need to make sure we look at the long journey and not only the short journey to make a newspaper magazine, you know, talking about the brand.
But based on what you shared with us in terms of expansion, current business expansion of Jean Bouteille, it seems that it's being quite fast enough.
Yeah,
from that perspective. So just a very last one, and figuratively, of course, because no one among us wants to do that. But if you were to throw one of the virtual precious Jean Bouteille's bottles to the sea, with a message to your fellow businesses, what would you write it on?
Welcome to the Zero Waste journey. Definitely, all my competitor or all my new competitor came, I always welcome them because they are partners into the fight against single use. So definitely welcome. I'm open to discuss with you and to share, and we are colleagues more than competitor. And here, in fact, because there are a lot of people from Europe who want to create a zero waste business, so they're all colleagues for sure. But it's more that it's a journey, zero waste, and so we need to welcome everyone and to congratulate people in their first step, and after it's addictive. You know, you do more step and more step.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gérard, for sharing your insights. I'll go just very quickly through the Q&A box and see what is in there. There are quite a few questions.
Now, B2B and not B2C.
Yeah,
I had that one.
That's great. If you can help me to go through it and pick up.
So business to business and not business to consumer, because business to consumer is very, very, very marketing oriented, and it's another subject. And we feel zero waste need to be done through stores. Zero waste through internet today is very, very hard. You think you can replicate the success of software in real life, but doesn't work this way. So I do believe zero waste go through stores, and I do believe in stores retail more than for sure. There are some items that are very convenient to buy from online. Books, it's great to buy books online, but it doesn't give you the library aspect and the discussion. And so when you want to be more into it and to interact with people, B2B is really the best way. Okay, margin. Well, we do standard margin, and we do have local producer or standard producer. Most of the time, producer find us most than we find them. Depends, but we have a lot of attraction, so people come to us. Are clients loyal? Very. Zero waste are very, very loyal, and zero waste people are very loyal, and I thankful them for that. That means they know sometimes you are not perfect, but they know that you have made a lot of effort to bringing something, so they give you another chance, etc. And after media, yeah, I have a very good communication manager. Manon is great, so I'm happy. I'm very lucky.
But in terms of loyalty, I think that is very key in understanding the sort of business models such as yours, like to what extent and what needs to be done in order to create that shift in the consumers' habits.
The shelf life depends on the product. So we do have a quality department now, and we make sure we do a shelf life of the product in the store and the shelf life of the product at your house and how should it be stored. And sometimes my quality department is way too strict and I tell them, come on, it's not possible. We don't do it in bulk if you tell me that. So they think about it, they discuss with people to find a good balance between risk and sellability. That means if you sell a jam and tell you need to eat it in 7 days, don't sell jam in bulk if it's true. But is it true? The problem is everybody put belts 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and at the end of the day, you arrive and say, you need to consume your jam in 7 days. That doesn't make sense. But it's hard because it's a very long process. If it has a 6-month shelf, you know it only after 6 months. Is the cleaning of the bottle done by the store? Some stores clean it, some stores don't. And that is not, and so today cleaning is centralized, but we try to decentralize it. Now there's more washing up equipment a little bit everywhere. Can you advise if any international brands beverage? Brand beverage today, no, we are not yet in the beverage. We are only in the wine, but we are not yet, we are in the beer, but not in the other beverage because beverage has a very small shelf life. That means if you do juice, you need to consume it in 3 or 5 days, which is very small compared to the long shelf life you buy in standard Tetra Pak or bottle. So we try to tackle that, and we are in the innovation to find system to be able to have a shelf life of 2 weeks, something like that, at least more available. So we don't do enough beverage today, which is shame because most of the trash generated from stores are water, milk, and juice, and we do no one of the 3, and we try to go there. Water you have at home, so it doesn't need, but the rest would be great. Do we really need sophisticated dispensing system? That is a very good question. We don't. And we all jump into the sophistication at the beginning, and it is really, really a strange part of the human innovation brain. You know, we all think technology will solve problem. No, it's not technology which will solve problem. Some good engineering sometimes solve great problem, but simplicity is the key. So we are changing our mind. We stopped producing the fountain with pump we did 2, 3, 4, 5 years back, because it's a lot of materials. It has a lot of problem. It has a lot of maintenance to do. You need to clean the tubing all the time, etc. So gravity is great. We need to help the gravity. That's my main word today, simplicity. So I do agree with you. Can you, sorry? Yeah.
When it comes to technological solutions, for instance, do you think they are all to be banned? Because when you see now, what we see now is the definition, like the spread of some technologies which are linked to UV, for instance, cleaning processes and stuff like that would be adapted to the local realities of shops, retail, and little shops. What do you think about this?
You know, UV is completely inefficient the way it is used. And you make UV to have the tick mark at the quality department of the big stores or the big brands saying, yeah, we need a disinfection system. Okay, let's put UV and at least we have an answer. But nobody will use it. Nobody will use it the proper way. Nobody will understand how to use it the proper way. And it's not necessarily needed. It's just here, typically, we bring technology to answer a sales question. And we don't use it to answer the real problem of, do I need this type of disinfection? And if I need this type of disinfection, is bulk the right way to sell it? You know, so yeah, we need to be careful. Sometimes it is, but we need to make sure it's not just to reply to a big boss who is not on the field and doesn't understand how it works.
Okay, maybe one last question out of this list. I'll let you pick and choose.
But do you have washing station at every retailer? So I replied, no, some retailer have, but not everyone. maybe one day we'll have a micro washing station that you can put in every store, that a shop, no, like a consumer can clean directly their bottle, you know, like they put the bottle and they wait 1 minute. But is it where we want to go? You know, something, is it something that would help me sell, but finally is not used? Maybe. And the last one, I see a sanitation system featured on the bar in the video. Is that something you supply? We supply a sanitation kit and everything that is needed to have a proper system and proper quality. You know, like you need to respect the hygiene, etc. So it depends on the product you sell. You need sometimes chemicals, sometimes don't. We try to always go to sustainable chemicals if needed. And most of the time we are in a zero tubing system with recycled bags, so we don't need to clean it, because the shop, like some shop have made the process of cleaning their thing, but some shop they don't have the ability to clean every time, so we try to find a way to make it happen for them.
Thank you so much. I think we can stop here. It was a very fruitful conversation. I'd like to thank, obviously, our guest so much, Gerard, for being with us today, and all of you who have participated in this first webinar of the Reuse discussion series. Today, through the lenses of the successful story of Jean Bouteille, we've had a very dense exchange with Gerard, which we could keep on and on, I think, for hours, but that's not the purpose of this exercise today. And we reflected on key issues related to reuse and refill business models, from the issue of cost versus convenience, obviously cost effectiveness of such business models, scalability of solutions, financing, technological developments or not, and many others. So stay safe. Please visit our campaigning website, whichisreuse.org, whichisreuse.org. That's very important. And sign the individual or NGO commitment, reuse commitment, as we call it, or else the open letters as well, obviously, which are supporting both businesses and municipalities, if you haven't done so yet. So thank you very much and goodbye.